They're all one-trick ponies. What they do, right? Literally, what they do is they stick their fingers in their ears and go la 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 la, so that they don't have to listen.
Yeah, I was just going to bring it back on topic because when he raised his phone up, that was with respect to horizontal. His description, when he was trying to talk about a gas pressure gradient in an upwards vector required horizontal boundary layers, he is now into using a flat Earth to try to prove a sky vacuum. It's not an easy place to cognitively exist.
Yeah, and anything that adds to the cognitive load will just be chanted through. I can't cope with another thing on top of all the stuff I'm currently dealing with. I'm trying to prove a sky vacuum with a phone that's lifting with respect to sea level and flat Earth proving elevations. And then he's telling me about my example that I definitely didn't want to go off topic with when I brought it up and proved a flat Earth with it, because curved lines can meet a 90-degree angle. That's where we're at. You can't cope with that. It's too much all at once.
It is.
It's becoming unlistenable for my audience. We're not getting anywhere. It's just him yammering when I've told someone else they're going to get the mic. I'll try that again for the guy who's very stupid, the globe believer, standard fare, idiot globe believer. I will now slow it down a little so he can hopefully listen and pay attention and understand and comprehend. I'll now pass the mic to the same guy I just introduced 2.5 minutes ago before you started yammering thinking it was your turn. It weren't. John, refracted curvature, go ahead.
All right. Well, up and down on the vertical aspect is with respect to the horizontal, just as moving along the horizontal is with respect to the vertical. These ideas are codependent and relying upon the other one for its own existence. It is not just a concept that we made up with respect to vertical, because there's this thing that exists we call the horizon, and that is how we establish a 90 degrees perpendicular with that piece of string. We didn't make up horizontal. We see the horizon and we develop that concept from the horizon. That's not true, that horizontal is what we just made up because of vertical. No.
Yeah, so I agree that horizontal and vertical have that relationship. That's true. But I guess my perspective, John, is that the vertical can be established without reference to anything. You can be in the dark. You can be, you don't need horizontal to establish a vertical, and it's a physical characteristic of the world around us. And yeah, you're correct. It's related to horizontal, that you can establish that relationship. That's fine, but vertical is in its own right an independently discoverable property of the world around us. Yeah. Sorry, John, go.
Yeah, the part where you said it's independent. No, it's not. It is dependent upon horizontal, just as horizontal is dependent upon vertical. Those concepts are interlocked, like when you're talking about pressure and temperature with gas. You're not going to be able to just arbitrarily say, it's just this one, and forget everything. It's just a point on this line that I'm going to arbitrarily draw. No, you can't do that. You don't have vertical without horizontal. You don't have horizontal without vertical. And horizontal's got to be eye level or surface level in every description you're going to give. So it's a flat Earth, dude. I don't know what else to tell you.
Yeah. So, John, I don't disagree that vertical and horizontal are intrinsically related like that, and that you can derive vertical from horizontal, which is what you do with the sextant when you do the horizon dip and subtract it. You're effectively finding vertical. But vertical can also be truly found independently of horizontal.
May I ask, what are you using to find that vertical? Are you using horizontal, your eye level as a horizontal, surface level as a horizontal? Aren't you doing that?
Sorry, which horizontal are we talking about here?
There's two involved in the direction. There's surface level and eye level.
Obviously, your answer is troubling.
Yeah.
Try that again, John.
So
try that again, John. So try that again, John, about the two horizontal surface level and eye level that are absolutely required. You asked him if he's not referring to those surface level. That's where we're at.
That's it. If you're talking about dip correction, you're utilizing your eye level as a horizontal plane of reference, and you're drawing a line from your eye to where surface level appears to meet the sky. That is a parallel plane. You have two parallel planes you're drawing for this dip correction. It's still a plane, though.
Yeah, so we probably got a bit off topic, but yeah. So we don't want to go into celestial navigation now, do we, Nathan? Or not?
You did. But what you mean is, you don't want to get into celestial navigation. Now it requires surface level be a horizontal plane of reference. And in order for us to do any corrections for dip as you brought it up, we'd need eye level to be parallel with it. And obviously, given that the principle of vertical is tied directly to it, vertical is going to be vertical all the way along that horizontal plane of reference. Now, this as a declaration at the end where you thought we were going a bit off topic, off the topic that you brought up. No, you brought it up and now we're proving a flat Earth with it. Because you need horizontal planes of reference, surface level and eye level, proving Earth is measured flat in this regard. Not off topic, you brought it up. I don't know why you'd say that, that seems really stupid. You went off topic when you brought it up and then we proved a flat Earth with it. No, we just proved a flat Earth.
Yeah, it was unintentional, I'll admit that.
I know you didn't intend to prove a flat Earth when you described horizontal planes of reference that we are measuring for elevation angles in celestial navigation with a sextant, and how they definitely need a horizontal surface level and eye level parallel with one another to prove that we are measuring a flat Earth. You unintentionally brought up a subject that proves Earth is being measured flat. I know you didn't intend to do that. You did. Earth is being measured flat, though, in that process.
Well, I would also like to invite him to check out any of the Earth curve calculators he believes in. Choose the best one. And you'll notice that what you call a tangent when you're talking to us, it's labeled with a name. It's got a specific name called circle that's drawn from the foot with respect to vertical, horizontally, out ad infinitum. So there's that line.
You broke it. You broke it when you said the most important word, surface level, the tangent.
And I'm not sure where you're posting.
He broke up while he said it. Maybe if you talk through it, it won't be as painful and you won't have to listen to it. But meanwhile, the surface level in Earth curve maths, you call it a tangent sometimes, but it's actually surface level. It's labelled that way in the maths. That was his point. It's horizontal.
So you'd be also aware in the maths that once you've taken that horizontal and the elevation angle of your celestial object, you then use it to calculate the co-altitude angle, right, which is up to vertical. And then you take that co-altitude angle and effectively multiply it by 60 nautical miles per degree to get your distance to the GP. That's the fundamental geometry of celestial navigation. Yes, nautical miles per degree, as per the co-altitude angle from. Yeah. Sorry, John, I didn't hear you say that again.
90 times by 60. Yeah, that would mean that you've got 90 at the end of that triangle, though, at the base of the star, at the other end of the flat baseline, the horizontal plane of reference that we're measuring for this angle. That means that 90 degrees below the star, there is a flat Earth between you and that position below the star that you're measuring a line of sight to the star with. Horizontal baseline between you and the 90-degree point. So when you minus from 90, then you turn that angle measurement with a sextant on a boat into the co-altitude angle, which you can then times by 60 to calculate that distance 60, to that point on the ground. You don't have to yammer your yes through me. We're just pointing out how Earth's being measured flat with this. It's a flat baseline between you and the distance between the star's GP and yourself, once you do that calculation. But the measurement itself requires you measure Earth as a flat plane. To just take the angle itself, the angle of elevation is a flat Earth measurement.
Right, so, John, you're going to say something there?
The angle of elevation with the stick in the ground and a flat area, right? And just get your angle to the celestial object. You could do the same thing. All you need is a parallel plane with mean sea level. A parallel plane, horizontal, all the way up. That's what level is. Yep. Level is your first person view of horizontal. Horizontal is like third person mathematical representation to communicate the idea of the plane we exist atop.
Yeah, the stick thing, and the length of the angle's a good one. Do you know the other backyard celestial navigation tool that you can produce without too much hassle?
This is fun and all, but we've just proved...
It's a plumb bob and a protractor.
Fun that it is. We've just proven Earth is measured flat.
So, Nathan, did you know that you can do celestial navigation?
Would it be easy if we had a quick subject change? Easy subject change?
With a plumb bob.
No, I'm not having the subject change and you're not in charge of the discussion. At this point, you brought up a subject. If you're not going to listen to me and conclude a point with me and just subject change, I'll highlight that. I'll lean on that. This guy's fundamentally terrified because he's a globe believer in the fact that we have just concluded this point with an angle measurement with respect to a flat Earth. It's on screen now. Dave McKeegan, another videographer who covers this subject, fell victim to the exact same thing. Because you can't have an elevation angle measurement on a globe. Excuse me. Why are you chanting through the top of my conclusion that Earth is being measured flat with an elevation angle measurement? Why was it that you chose that particular point to talk through me? I'll explain. It was rhetorical. It's because he's in fear of the Earth that is being measured flat with his own example. Now, rather than acknowledge that, which I'm going to ask him to do again in a moment when I finish, I'm in no doubt I'll be interrupted before I get to do it. But when I ask him for the second time, if he understands and appreciates that his own example of this angle measurement requires Earth be measured flat, And when he either acknowledges that or tries a subject change or a non sequitur again, we'll see how we go. I'll conclude with that fact in victory. We won't move on to a different question. But first, I need my opponent who brought this subject up, but definitely by mistake. Obviously, we got a bit off track with him bringing up this subject that he didn't want to bring up and that. Yeah, so we understand and appreciate together, all of us, that your example measures Earth flat for the elevation angle. You understand that? Before we move on, I need you to acknowledge that so I can conclude in victory. Do you understand we just measured Earth flat, son?
No, I think you're incorrect. And will you allow me to finish before you declare victory again?
I have one.
I'll take that as a yes.
No, I hadn't responded. Maybe if you leave a short enough pause for me to respond in the negative, that no, when you have 90 degrees to the GP of a star, that requires a flat baseline. So while you're going to yammer through the top of me, suggesting that I haven't already won when you and I have both got 90 degrees to the baseline and 90 degrees to your position, so we can minus that 90 in the calculation you gave. Minus from 90. Yeah, that's the 90 degree that you won't get from a curved surface.
No, what's the difference between vertical and horizontal?
So why is this a response to me saying you won't get 90 degrees from a curved surface? It's an angle measurement with respect to a baseline, and now I'm being asked about vertical and horizontal. It's an angle measurement. It's called an elevation angle. It proves Earth's measured flat. It must be to have 90 degrees to the GP of the star you're measuring. To minus it, like you described in the calculation. Minus from 90. That's the degrees. You're minusing it off another right angle triangle to give you co-altitude. You explain this to us. That's a flat Earth prerequisite. You can't have 90 degrees below the star on the baseline if it's a curved surface, because it won't be an angle anymore.
Well,
you're correct.
So
it won't be an angle anymore. We're sorry.
Whoever
we can measure it from the vertical, though, right? It is perfectly possible to do celestial navigation relative to verticals.
Oh, so you're saying if you take it with a plumb bob, you've already got the co-altitude?
Exactly.
And what are you calculating? And there's my follow-up, because I've already won. We're calculating for the ground position below the star. And the distance is...
You don't need to...
Sorry, what are you going to tell me I don't need to win? Because maybe if you chant through it, it won't seem like I've won when we're actually measuring ground positions below the star.
Yes.
Yeah, so that would be on the ground with a flat baseline. We're measuring that distance to draw out a flat circle of equal elevation with it. That's what we're doing with it. It must be flat because we're drawing a circle with that flat distance to the ground position. And the ground position has 90 degrees to your position. Now, I appreciate that while you wanted to decry my victory, and just for the audience's benefit, as you can see his light flashing on and on as I tell him that he's definitely lost. But in his mind, if he's talking at the key points where I've won, he can say I haven't. No, I have. The co-altitude is for a calculation of the GP on the parallel plane, surface level, sea level. Same thing you corrected to with your dip correction that you talked about. These are all parallel planes. Planes. Flat. You are measuring flat for the co-altitude, GP, ground position. If it's on the ground, it's at the end of a 90-degree triangle. To your position, that's what it is. It can't be done if that line is bent.
We agree that the co-altitude times 60 nautical miles is the distance to the ground position?
Only possible on a flat Earth. Ergo, Earth is being measured flat. That distance is a straight, not bent line. So Earth is measured flat. We haven't got a curved surface between us and the GP.
So Nathan, if I can...
So Nathan isn't a yes. We haven't got a curved surface between us and the GP. Second time's a charm.
We do, actually, but...
We do? That seemed like a bit of a quiver in your voice. No, we don't. It wouldn't give you an angle. We haven't got a curved line between us and the GP because the 90-degree point would preclude you having an angle if that line was curved. You are incorrect. There is not third time's a charm with him chanting straight through the middle of me. Third time's a charm with you thinking that you're going to get away from this point. You see his light flashing, audience? That's him chanting through the top of me. Now, mate, I've got a show. I've dealt with thousands of people like you that think they can chant through the top. I just close your line when you do it, so the audience doesn't have to tolerate your attempted obfuscation of the fact that it won't be a 90-degree angle at the GP if it's a curved line meeting it. Third time's a charm. The word you're looking for is yes. That's correct. It cannot be a curved line or it would not be an angle.
It's a curved line. And
no, it won't be an angle. It won't have 90. You can't have 90 degrees on a curved line. Definitely not. It seems this guy doesn't understand what angles are. Angles require straight lines, son. Do you not know what an angle is? Are you stupid? Do you think a curved line meeting a straight line will give you a 90 degree? What kind of idiot are you?
Angles just require lines.
Sorry, is that someone else chanting in because I've won and demolished this idiot with him saying that a curved line meeting a, perpendicular to a curved line, the GP is straight down. Yeah, it's running vertically to the ground position, and you're measuring 90 degrees from your position. That cannot be curved, or it wouldn't be 90. That's the fourth attempt.
Where does
Yeah, he
60
appealed to a vertex being like an angle being at vertex. Well, an angle is a vertex, but not all vertexes are angles. That's wrong.
Yeah, straight lines. You need straight line triangles. You keep saying you can have a curved line to give you 90. No, a curved line won't give you a 90-degree angle. That's straight lines that must be meeting it, and they're coming from your position to the ground position. A ground position is very specifically 90 degrees. If you're saying the point on the ground meeting it is curving, it isn't 90 degrees anymore. That's the fifth attempt.
If I have two distances from the ground position, that say one is 10 miles, one is 20 miles, why doesn't that line up with the same triangle? So the 10-mile triangle and the 20-mile triangle don't have the same height.
Sorry, he didn't acknowledge. He's now taken it to the non sequitur of measuring the heights of the stars in the most ham-handed, pathetic way possible.
Okay.
Meanwhile, while he now starts chanting the fact that I'm pointing out his non sequitur fallacy about measuring heights of stars, I'm going to point out that I made 5 attempts for him to concede his logical fallacy and assertion that you can have a curved line meeting 90. No, straight lines meet 90, and now he's into la land talking about heights. Flailing, because he cannot, after 6 attempts, concede that you can't have a 90-degree at a GP position, that's ground position, it's on the ground, if the line meeting it is curved. I've made 7 attempts, and you think, what, we're going to talk about heights because you can't concede? You pathetic coward. It's a straight line meeting it at 90. 8 attempts. You may respond. It cannot be curved, as you asserted. You were incorrect. To be a 90-degree ground
You have
position...
60 nautical miles.
Maybe if you chance through the summary of the thing that he's got to concede, he won't have to listen to it. Yeah, I'll shut that shit down straight away. I'll try again for a 10th time, because you chanted through the 9th attempt. You're the silence after the 8th. So I'll try a 10th. Maybe if I tell you that I'm going to make a 10th attempt, you'll start chanting immediately like the fundamentalist religious zealot. Prove my point as I do it while you flail for my audience and they pay me to watch you do it. You're flailing. You know damn well it can't have a curved line meeting a ground position at 90 degrees because 90 degrees would have 2 straight lines, proving Earth's measured flat. For the baseline, thousands of miles in all directions, you've got ground positions to stars, all on a flat Earth. Now he says it's curved and starts asking me about the heights. I've made 10 attempts for him to concede his error. Can't have curved lines meeting 90. That's 11 attempts, you pathetic globe-believing weasel. Do you like flat earther laughing at you as you flail? Because that's what's happening, son. Can't have a curved line meet at 90 at the ground position. You're wrong.
Describe me a triangle that for
That's non sequitur. He's now asking and demanding that I do something for him. I've made clear his error's been corrected. Curved lines won't meet 90-degree ground positions. So he's making demands of things that I should address. That's 12 attempts, mate. Do you think your pathetic attempt to flail away from this is anything more than amusement for my audience? I'll repeat it a 13th time if you need me to. You can't have a curved line, as you asserted, meeting a 90-degree ground position. 90 degrees is 2 straight lines, one of which is the ground, the baseline, meeting it at 90, thousands of miles away for all the different stars on the ground at 90 on a flat Earth. You said the ground position could have a curved line meeting it. You were wrong, and I've made 14 attempts to correct a fundamentalist religious zealot who cannot accept that Earth is being measured flat. I took my victory about 10 minutes ago. You, having told me that I didn't win, have made, what, 13 excellent rebuttals? Because I've now asked you 14 times the same thing and I haven't got a response to it. Curved line won't meet 90, mate. You're wrong. Earth isn't a sphere. Earth's measured
triangles
flat.
that increase.
How does presupposing...
Shut Brenda up. Shut Brenda up. She's not going to white knight for this asshole. 14 times I've asked him and I'm going to get a response or he's going to run away. That's his only 2 options. Not white knighting.
Well, I don't think he's heard a word you said, yeah, because I've had him server muted, and every time I unmute him, he's still speaking and rambling in the background. So
okay. No, cool. Thank you for clarifying that.
Server muted.
Okay, so when I'm assuming that I've actually got a bit of clear air for him to hear my actual claim put to him 14 times, what he's doing, like he's like, they're all one-trick ponies. What they do, right? Literally, what they do is they stick their fingers in their ears and go la 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 la, so that they don't have to listen. That's what they do, so that if they don't hear the fact that a curved line can't meet a ground position at 90 degrees, they won't have to respond to it. And they think that if they've talked the entire time, the rest of the panel who are around them in Discord won't have heard what I've put to him, so they won't back me up in support when he doesn't respond to it. It doesn't seem to the people in Discord like anything's wrong. He's got nothing to respond to, because they haven't heard it either. Yeah, this trick has been employed for about the last 7 years. I mean, it is so pathetic. All it shows my audience is that rather than addressing the fact that 90 degrees to a baseline from your position along a flat Earth being measured with an elevation angle cannot be done with a curved line, as he asserted. As long as that's the last point he dropped into the conversation and doesn't hear any response, he will, what, delude himself that he's won? No, Earth's measured flat, mate. No amount of sticking your fingers in your ears and talking incessantly when I point that out 15 times will get you away from that fact. And no amount of Brenda coming along to save you will help you either. It just shows my audience how badly you globe believers have lost when we measure Earth flat. And we do. All you can do in response is tell us, no, it's a curved baseline. No, it isn't. 16 attempts later, the coward has got to either be... He's created a new option. It's not either respond or run away. It's never hear the claim in rebuttal or get removed. He's made 2 new options that are much easier to stomach for him. How quaint.
Yeah, I was just going to bring it back on topic because when he raised his phone up, that was with respect to horizontal. His description, when he was trying to talk about a gas pressure gradient in an upwards vector required horizontal boundary layers, he is now into using a flat Earth to try to prove a sky vacuum. It's not an easy place to cognitively exist.
Yeah, and anything that adds to the cognitive load will just be chanted through. I can't cope with another thing on top of all the stuff I'm currently dealing with. I'm trying to prove a sky vacuum with a phone that's lifting with respect to sea level and flat Earth proving elevations. And then he's telling me about my example that I definitely didn't want to go off topic with when I brought it up and proved a flat Earth with it, because curved lines can meet a 90-degree angle. That's where we're at. You can't cope with that. It's too much all at once.
It is. That would be rough. Because you're not only destroying his worldview, you're destroying his world now, too.
Yeah, bless.
It's not easy.
Yeah, I bet he thought he was coming here to tell us how stupid we were. He thought we were going to be the ones getting educated by him, didn't he? What a shock.
He's destroying it.
Give him a chance to answer the question.
Yes, I'll just get control of my G+. Yes, okay, right. The guy's going to now pipe up again. We'll see how
So how long have I got before I get muted again?
Well, it depends on whether
Am I good to go, AJ, for a little bit?
tangent. Well, it just depends whether you answer the question or you run off onto another tangent.
Okay, fair enough. So I don't feel destroyed. I'll tell you that. So are we sticking on the celestial navigation topic, or are we going to go back to gas?
I'd put it to you that you can't have your assertion of a curved line meeting a 90-degree ground position. It must require a flat Earth baseline between you and the 90-degree ground position for you measuring any star out along a horizontal plane of reference. See, while I was explaining this, you had your mic wide open. It didn't seem like you wanted to listen. I'll try that again, hopefully with your mic closed of your own volition, rather than the server operators having to do it because you can't tolerate what I've said. I'll repeat it a second time. The way we left off when you started chanting through 15 attempts of me trying to explain that your assertion we can have a curved line meeting a ground position at 90 degrees is garbage and wrong. I was attempting to correct you. I took 15 attempts with you chanting through me. So now that we've got you under control, maybe you can cope with an answer when I put it to you now, that you were incorrect when you say a curved line can meet a position that is specifically 90 degrees, therefore requires a flat baseline to be meeting it, and that's a flat Earth that's being measured. I'd like you to acknowledge that. Before we move on to anything else, furthermore, there is a little caveat. Once you acknowledge that there won't be a curved line meeting a 90-degree anything ever, I'll bask in victory and then we'll move on, just so we're clear what's going to happen. You may respond to the 90-degree not bent line that you can't have as you declared.
Okay, so thank you very much. Once again, I feel undefeated, but I think you're wrong, Nathan, that my understanding of the geometry is that the 60 degrees per nautical mile is the pivotal thing here, right? That's the property of a sphere. And there is no flat plane geometry that will align.
That's incorrect.
That.
Do you want to keep going? You were wrong again. Miles derived.
Have you ever actually done miles?
No, he's not going to tolerate it. You were wrong, but no, you won't stand the correction. You just ascribed distances in miles nautical to a globe. No, they're derived off a flat plane. They're, with respect to the angle measurements to Polaris, off a flat plane. You were just incorrect. You thought they were globe related. They're not. They're flat Earth measurements. They're straight line distances for one. Excuse me, I'm still correcting you, dumbass. This, what, you think you're educating me when I'm correcting you when you were wrong and ascribe a flat straight... No, maybe you'll get muted by one of the server operators, because now it's painful. Because I'm pointing out that flat straight line distances, that's miles, cannot be spherical. There's flat straight line distances for one. Secondly, the derivation of that actual number, 4 nautical miles, comes from a flat angle measurement with 90 degrees to Polaris. Same argument we're having that you can't have a curved line meeting Polaris, because we're deriving the angles in recession to the horizon to give you this nautical mile distance on a flat plane. It's a straight flat mile measurement distance, not in relation to a sphere distance. You were wrong when you said that. That's why I stopped you. Now, I doubt for 1 second that he hasn't babbled through the fact that he's had to be server muted while I corrected his dumbass about straight, flat distances that he ascribed to a globe incorrectly.
I love how you got mad at him for interrupting you when you interrupted him.
Is that a white knight helping him out while I point out that miles are a straight, flat distance derived from Polaris measurements with angles with 90 degree below Polaris? Maybe a white knight needs to tell me about my attitude when I win and prove how Earth's measured flat. I'll just mute that line when some arsehole decides that they're going to rumpus the fact that we win. The flat earthers are perfectly righteous in berating your stupidity because you didn't know any of this stuff. In fact, you lie, the other guy did, had to lie, about having a curved line meeting something that's specifically defined as having a 90-degree angle. He said curved line meet. He still hasn't conceded it. What he did do is make the bold-faced assertion that he hadn't lost, rather than conceding the fact that 90 will never have a curve meeting it. That's what he actually did. Sad. A white knight's going to pipe up about how this is taking place in my attitude. Of course they will, because we've won. Earth is measured flat with a flat baseline to a 90-degree angle below Polaris to derive these flat measurements of miles. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, the geometry does not say on a sphere. It says from inside a sphere with reference to the plane, the equatorial plane. That's how the geometry works. It is not on a sphere. It's in a sphere. So those two words, while they're really close, it's just that one letter off, and they're only two letters. So on and in are not the same thing, just like up and down are not the same as in and out.
This guy has no idea what you're talking about. When you're talking about projecting PZX triangles out from celestial planes at the centre of hell, he hasn't got a clue that's how it all works. If I even attempted to educate him in his
That's the
religion, he
navigational
wouldn't tolerate
triangle.
it. And right on cue, while I'm educating him about his religion, he's right on cue, talking straight through the middle of me. Look, dumbass, we know a hell of a lot more about your stupid globe religion than you do, right? We know how those flat earth measurements that you failed to concede in 15 attempts get converted into hell to project out spherical triangles for your globe faith to have some sort of justification for flat earth measurements. Now, we know this stuff because we have an advanced understanding in your heliocentric religion. You, on the other hand, are a standard rank-and-file moron who feels it's always his turn to talk. You're an idiot, mate. We know better than you do. I know that might be painful given that we're flat earthers and you feel like you should be the one with righteous indignation, being a globe believer and all. Well, no, mate, that is not the circumstances here. You don't know much about your religion. You just seem to profess to knowing something about celestial navigation. And then proving a flat earth proves very difficult when you want to lie about having curved surfaces meet 90-degree ground positions. They don't. You still haven't conceded that, by the way.